Welcome to Watercolor Play. This is a series of short videos all about watercolor, and today we will be exploring another short technique that you can do in under 5 minutes to have a little bit of creative time in your day. My name's Mary Helen. I am a transpersonal art therapist and artist, and I help people reclaim joy through creativity. So if you're ready to do that, grab your watercolor supplies and let's do it. So today I'm working with my 300 GSM watercolor paper. Any watercolor paper will do for this. And you do definitely want some watercolor paper for today. You need some watercolor paint. I'm using this pan. I've got a jar of water, already a little bit watercolory. I got a paintbrush and I have a pencil because I like to write down what I've done because I may not remember how I made it. And today we are using table salt. Yep, we're going to do some cool stuff with salt and see what happens. All right, so let's jump into this. Get that out of the way. So I'm just going to write salt on my paper. That's a reminder for me. I like to treat these like little thumbnails. So I'm using salt, and I'm going to start with a bit of a wash. So I'm going to wet my watercolor page to prepare it. So if you've seen some of my other videos, it is a bit of a wet on wet scenario today. That is a technique or a way that we prepare our page. So lots of water on there, and then I'm just going to give it a chance to sit and absorb that water. And that's what watercolor paper is really good at, whereas when you put it on other paper, it'll kind of start to disintegrate the paper. Watercolor paper is like made to hold water. It is very resilient surface, and it's made for the thing. So yeah, it's handcrafted and different to printing paper or printmaking paper. Very different. It's its own thing. But even just some kids' watercolor paper is totally fine for this. All right, and that's looking good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my pigment. I am in a bloom theme for this series. And I'm going to activate my pigment by putting some water into it and just let it sit for a moment. If you've tuned in for my other videos, the phrase hurry up and wait comes up a lot because with watercolor, you do have to wait. You have to wait for the element to be ready before you use it. So I'm waiting for that pigment to activate. I'm waiting for the page to be ready to have enough water in it for me to put the medium on there. And I'm just gonna, I can see I've got lots of water kind of pooling at the edges. I'm actually just gonna move that around a bit because I'd rather it be on the whole page, even though super interesting when those little breakaway puddles or rivers happen, but I'm gonna spread it around today. Yep. And you can do that too if you like. It's always very experimental with watercolor. Okie dokie. So I'm feeling like I'm ready now. I'm going to do some washes of blue. I'm going to be pretty generous. So we are playing with salt today. And salt, well, what happens when you eat a lot of salt? Let me ask you that question. You get kind of thirsty. You get kind of parched. And so it's a similar vibe here when we use our salt. You'll kind of see as the same thing. It's going to absorb the water. Now, why is she only painting half of the page? Because I'm going to get a different color on the other side. And I will tell you why. Because I do find that because this is a very experimental thing, we're using table salt, and depending on the salt you have, depends on how it reacts. Depending on the watercolor paint you have, depends on how it reacts. There's so many wonderful variables that mean that every time you do this, you know, it's going to be different. So I'm going to play with 2 different color pigments because every pigment is unique, even in this little dinky palette. Oh gosh, I love those colors. Okay, and now I'm gonna get some salt. There you go, table salt. If you've got some chunky salt, like rock salt, go for it. Like, again, we are playing. All right, and I'm gonna sprinkle it on. I'm gonna sprinkle it. I'm gonna, oh yeah, in those watery bits, I'm getting in there. You can already see, can I move this? You can already see it like sucking up the water in the paint. Again, this is a hurry up and wait scenario. Oh yeah, mess everywhere, my style. All right, so with this one, we wait. We wait and we wait and we wait. And it's always a surprising one to see what happens. But we're going to have some interesting textures, hopefully, at the end. This is really experimental. I would say do this again and again. Use more salt, less salt. More pigment, less pigment. I have the urge to just go in and put in a little bit more blue. I'm going to put in some more blobs of blue. I might change brushes and put in some blobs of orange. Oh, she crossed the line. Outrageous. And give me a little bit more salt. I want to know what happens. Oh, that's a lot of salt. Oopsie. Yeah, I want to see what happens there. So feel free to experiment, because we don't know what this is going to look like. Don't need to control it. We just know something is going to happen. Yeah, get some on the edges there. So can't wait to see. Oh, are you noticing what's happening as you plonk down your salt? Can you see? It's very fascinating. All right, we're going to leave that one. And join me in a moment and we'll just see what happens. Yours is going to take a while to dry, so let it have that space. Hurry up and wait, as I say. And we'll come back and see how we went. Okay, so I've waited a little bit and here's what's happening with my watercolor and salt exploration. So yeah, we can really see these gorgeous patterns that have occurred from the salt being applied. And this has happened over time, probably like 10 minutes or so. And there's just a lot of things happening in there. As you can see, it's not completely dry just yet. When it is, I'm just gonna brush the salt off and just see what's left underneath. But yeah, that is the salt plate. It's reminding me of lungs, really, with the little kind of branch-like stems that have come out. And I'm fascinated by the interaction of these two colors in the middle as well. That's really interesting, the color that's been created there. So that's my salt play. I wonder what you discovered. You can take a photo and send it to me on Instagram. I'd love to see how you went. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel, and make sure you check out the rest of my watercolor play series. Thank you so much for hanging out, and see you soon.